Alright, so we're going to split up our notes over adding, subtracting, rational expressions. And so, first off, we're going to talk about some LCMs of polynomials. And just as with rational numbers in fractional form, to add or subtract two rational expressions that have unlike denominators, you must first find the least common denominator, or LCD. And for the generality of this lesson and future lessons, basically LCD is the same thing as the least common multiple. Least common multiple is for any numbers, but LCD is the exact same thing, just talking about the denominators. And in order to find the LCD of two or more polynomials, we need to factor them first. So the LCM contains each factor the greatest number of times it appears. And so what that kind of means, real quick, before we get into something, if I have x plus 3 in one denominator, and in my other one, I have x plus 3, x plus 3. So even though x plus 3 is found in both of them, since the right one has 2, my LCD there would be x plus 3 twice, because it has to cover the greatest number of times it appears in one factor. Alright? So, when we dealt with adding fractions, I said we need to get used to doing them by hand because we've got to be able to do them by hand down the road, and we've reached that time. So, for instance, I've got 5 over 6 plus 4 over 9. So the first thing I gotta do is find my least common denominator. Alright, so my LCD, and when we're doing this, we're just simply looking at my bottom number. So I've got 6 and 9. And we need to figure, okay, what number that is bigger or larger than 6 and 9 do both of them go into? Well, hopefully we're all saying, oh, that's easy, that's gotta be 18. And so, to get this bottom denominator, that is 9, to get to 18, we'll have to multiply 9 by to get to 18. Well, that's 2. If I multiply on the bottom, I got to do it on the top also. To get from 6 to 18, what I need to multiply 6 by, well, that's 3. So I multiply top and bottom by 3. So long story short, I get 15 over 18 plus 8 over 18. Now I have a common denominator. Now I can simplify. Alright, so we've done it with numbers before. Now we're going to do it with polynomials. So with polynomials, we still need to find the LCD, but the first thing we need to do is factor my denominators. So when I factor this left side, I know it's got to be x and x. I've got a plus in the back, therefore I look up front and I have 2 of those, so I have 2 minus signs, and the back spots have to multiply to 2 and add to negative 3, which is just 2 and 1. Over here, I can pull out a 2 first, leaving me x squared plus 1. Now hopefully we all see that x squared plus 1, that is a difference of squares, and so I have 2x plus 1, x minus 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down, I'm going to change colors here first. I'm going to write down everything that's in my first denominator for my LCD. So I've got x minus 2, x minus 1. I don't have a 2 anywhere in there yet, so I need to have a 2 included also. I also don't have an x plus 1, but I have an x minus 1 already, so I don't need to include that again. So this is my LCD, 2, x minus 2, x minus 1, x plus 1. And for today, I'm going to stop right there, and I'm not going to go on to the next step. So we're going to find the LCM of each set of polynomials. Remember, LCM is just LCD. So I've given you 3 expressions: 12a squared b, 15abc, and 8b to the third, c to the fourth. So we need to figure out numbers first. Okay, so I got to think about 12, 15, and 8. What number does 12, 15, and 8 go into? I believe that number is 120. Well, how do you do that, you ask? Well, there's this nice thing in your calculator. If you hit the math button, and then, sorry, I don't have my calculator on me right now, and it is dead. So if you hit the math button, and then you go over to, or you just go down and find LCM as an option, in the first column, it will give you the LCM as an option. You type in 12, 15, 8, and then it will give you 120. The other way to do it that usually works is take your smallest number times your largest number, and that's what's going to give you your LCM, because usually that middle number will always go in there. Now, let's go with variables. I have to include the variable with the most terms in one spot. So for instance, I've got a squared here, I've got 1a here, and I don't have any a's in the back. So where do I have the most that's in my first, and how many's there? 2, so I got to include a squared. Then I go on to b's. I got a b here, and a b to the third there. Alright, well, where do I have the most in my last term? How many? That's b to the third. And then I've got 0 c's, 1 c, and 4 c's, which means I've got to use a c to the fourth. Alright, so there is my LCD for my first one. On my second one, I'm expected to factor here first. So the first thing I need to do is pull out a 4. Over here, I can pull out an A. And I'm left with a trinomial, so I can factor that further. Got a plus sign in the back. I look to the front. I have 2 of those. And 4 and 5 multiply to 20, but add to 9, so there we go. So now, again, I go about it. Outside, so out front here, let's change up colors so I'm showing something different. I got an A here and a 4 there, so I'm going to include that. Then, I also have an A minus 4 in my first term. Got an A plus 1 in my first term. And so now I'm looking at my second one, this A minus 4, A minus 5, and so, okay, what do I have there that is not already included in my LCD? Well, that would be A minus 5. Alright. So then that entire thing right there is my LCD. Next up, C. Got 6xy, 15x squared, 9xy to the fourth. So let's go variables first, because I think that's the easiest for everybody. So I got my LCD here. Got 1x in my first term, 2 in my second, and 1 in my third. So I know I'm going to have x squared. In y's, I got 1y in my first, 0 in my second, and 4 in my third. And then I've got 6, 15, and 9. Again, like I said, best way to try to do it is take your smallest number and multiply it by your largest. So my smallest number is 6. My largest is 15. Well, 6 times 15 should give me 90. And 9 goes in to 90. So therefore my LCD is 90 x squared y to the fourth. Alright, so hopefully that helps you get the first part. Again, we're building to the adding, subtracting, and rational expressions. We have not got there yet. So I just need you to simply work on this, finding the LCD. So doing some factoring and going from there. So I'm expecting you to do section 8.2, 1, 3, 19, 20, and 21. So we're looking at here, 19, 20, and 21. Those 5 right there. All we're doing is finding the LCM or the LCD, which is eventually going to help us down the road solve more problems. I hope everything's still going well for you. Hope you had a great weekend. And please, please, please email if you have any questions.